Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not, and on day 12 of Dis-Cember, we are looking at Robin Hood from 1973. Uh, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. This is one I used to watch all the time as a kid, and watching it now, in 2022, it still holds up. The animation looks really good. I was watching it on my phone, because I watched it during work and stuff when I was in the van and whatnot, break time, just to try to get it done. And yeah, it's still pretty good. Although after even learning some backstage information, I already learned about this behind the scenes stuff, but they reuse animation cells, and so there are points in this movie that you'll notice, especially during the "Phony King of England" song, where there's a lot of dancing that is taken from Snow White, when Maid Marian is dancing with the kids, and then you have verbatim the dance with King Louis and Baloo from Jungle King, but it's Lady Cluck and Little John is just Baloo with different colored fur and wearing like a green shirt and hat, and he's voiced by Phil Harris. So in case you had any doubts, it's just Baloo. And as a kid, I always thought that it was Baloo. He's just being called Little John, but it's not Baloo. It's just a character that looks an awful lot like Baloo with different colored fur and sounds like him because it's voiced by Phil Harris. And I also like the voice. I didn't look it up, but whoever did the voice for Robin Hood, I like the voice. I always thought it was a stern British. Yes, there's some mix-ups in this. There's some have British-sounding voices, like Robin Hood and Maid Marian, and Prince John, as well as Hiss. But then you have Lady Cluck sounds like she might be Scottish, or maybe just Northern England sounding voice. And then you got Pat Buttram doing the voice of the Sheriff of Nottingham. The Sheriff of Nottingham, old Bushel Britches himself. And then Phil Harris with his jazz singing voice, his jazz, very, very jazz voice, as Little John. So it's kind of mixed up. And then you got little kids that have just kid voices, and other people don't have British voices, and Friar Tuck doesn't have a British voice, I don't think. So it's really weird. And they're supposed to be in England. Nottingham's in England. So, who knows? Yes. And then you got the music. Now, beginning of this confused me at first, because I guess I thought there's a thing at the beginning where they have, it's basically the credits, where you show who's doing what voice, and I always thought for some reason that was at the end. But, no, it's at the beginning, and you got the whistle stop, which is the name of the song. That song. That plays at the beginning, followed by Oodalali, which is probably my favorite song of the film, although the Phony King of England song got me toe tapping at break, but I always loved Oodalali. And then there's the love song. But yeah, it's Robin Hood. I guess it's mixed with another story that Walt wanted to do about a fox, which is why Robin Hood is a fox in this. But they said that it was too negative, even though there was a animator, Ken Anderson, who wanted to keep doing the story, and apparently there was problems behind the scenes. The director of this film was Wolfgang Reitherman, who did Sword in the Stone and Jungle Book and 101 Dalmatians and Aristocats. He was basically taking over for Walt Disney at this point. His health declining, and he passed away. The Jungle Book and Aristocats were the last two films that Walt worked on, with the Jungle Book being the one that he was fully involved in. He died in post-production. But, and then the Aristocats he had some development with, I guess. But this is the first full film without Walt Disney's direct involvement, and I still think it's pretty good. I think it's better than the Aristocats. I mean, Udalali is no Tararabundier, but, you know, what is? Right? But the basic story plot here, and it's another one of those films that kind of like segmented throughout, and you have the introduction of Robin Hood with Udalali, and then we go on to them robbing Prince John of his riches. I mean, even Robin Hood comes out wearing the freaking robe. Prince John, I guess, and it's never fully explained why, but like King Richard is out of town, I guess, and so Prince John is in charge, and he's the king, but it's never fully explained. And I've seen the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie too, and I don't remember why Prince John wasn't, or King Richard wasn't there, but yeah. And they forego some of the characters from the story. Like, basically you have Robin Hood, Little John, Maid Marian, Friar Tuck, Prince John, Sheriff of Nottingham, and then there's a bunch of other original characters. There's like a rabbit named Skippy, and there's the two vultures, buzzards, whatever they are, named Trigger and Nutsy. I see what your mama called you, Nutsy. You know? And, how am I supposed to get any sleep with you yelling all's well all the time? Don't worry. The safety's on old Betsy here, and then it flies off. Wait, is the safety on old Betsy? You betcha, Sheriff. You go in front. That's what I thought. You go in front. Just funny stuff with them. I do like the Sheriff of Nottingham as a character. He is an ass, man. It's tax day, so you gotta go around directly collecting the taxes back in the day, I guess. And so he's going house to house, and even though they had the money, he catches it. Like, okay, so Friar Tuck, okay, so from a point of view, if you're Robin Hood, wouldn't you want to rob Prince John after tax day? That way you could then take all the money they collected, give it back to the poor, but then, like, he steals all the money and they start delivering it to it on the same day as tax day, and then here comes, it's tax day, and he goes to, and it's like, why, what kind of timing is that? You know? And Friar Tuck shows up and he gives this dog with a cast on his foot the money, and they hide it when they hear the sheriff coming, and they hide it money in the cast boot. And so when he walks, it goes jing, jing, jing. I'm like, that is the worst place to hide money. It's coins. It's the worst place to hide it. Why would you do that? Why? Why would you do that? Why? It makes no sense to me. You know? It just doesn't. But, yeah. He even steals from an old woman and her kids. She has a whole bunch of rabbit kids. And, yeah. And then we follow those rabbit kids. You got the Skippy, who I mentioned before, who was given Robin Hood's hat by Robin Hood. I guess he's got more. Little John only has one. And then his older sister, and then his little sister. Is it a girl? The one that goes, bye, Robin Hood. Come back again on my birthday. Is that a girl? I'm guessing. I don't know. I can't tell. Yeah, and then this turtle friend of theirs with glasses, he's firing off the bow and arrow that he got from Robin Hood, and it lands in the backyard of Prince John, where Maid Marian lives. Now, what is Maid Marian's connection to Prince John? She says, Prince John says that she is King Richard's niece. Like, is that they have another brother or a sister or something? I don't know. She lives at the castle, apparently. And, so they're out playing badminton. Her and Lady Cluck playing badminton. with tennis rackets. I guess that's how you play it, don't you? I guess. And that's when the arrow comes in. And basically, he's like, are you going to marry Robin Hood? Well, he hasn't asked me. And I think he's forgotten about me. But then it cuts to probably my favorite scene of the movie where, or one of my favorite scenes, I don't know. But where they're cooking lunch. And Robin is supposed to be stirring it, but he's too busy thinking of Maid Marian while Little John is hanging the clothes. And the thing boils over, and the next thing is you have Little John talking to Robin Hood, and he's just like, well, you just gotta... I just love that look on his face. I just love it. I love it. And yeah, but then he tries to cool it down by putting water in there. Was that the water he was using to wash the clothes? Because I don't think you want to eat that soapy water. Or was there any soap in it? How is there soap in the woods? I don't know. And they got this little camp set up in the woods that is behind a waterfall conveniently, I guess. They show it later. So first you're like, wait, he's in the middle of the freaking woods. How has nobody got in there to... And apparently they show it later in the Lovey-Dovey song that it's hidden behind a waterfall, I guess. So Prince John is angry that Robin Hood stole all his money, so he has set up an archery tournament to lure him there. Robin Hood disguising himself as a stork to sneak in, and Little John is disguised himself as Reginald, or Reggie, and yeah. Then he basically schmoozes Prince John while Robin Hood he beats in the tournament. Now this disguise doesn't work worth shit, because as soon as Prince John sees Robin Hood's skills, the stork's skills, he knows it's Robin Hood. And then Hiss figures it out when he sticks his head up his ass. No, he does. He sticks it up the skirt or whatever that he's wearing, the frock or whatever you call it that he's wearing. He's like, that's Robin Hood. And so he goes to tell him, and I put him in a bucket of ale. There's Friar Tuck and the Rooster, played by Roger Miller, who's sort of our narrator. He sings the Oodalolly song and Not in Nottingham, which is a sad song. It's a depressing song, that's for sure. But yeah, and then sorry, that's gonna shake because I don't have this is makeshift, so it's gonna shake for now till I get a new remember words. Tripod. Sorry. So, it's getting dry. So anyway, during this, of course, the stork wins and gets a kiss from Maid Marian, but he's outed by Prince John, and there's a battle. And I guess there is Prince John, if there's one thing I've been complaining about, is that Prince John and Robin Hood don't have any battles. He fights the Sheriff of Nottingham here, and later in the climax, he fights the Sheriff again. Prince John does nothing but sit on his duff the entire time. I mean, and so he orders the Sheriff to kill him. They're gonna hang him, which is the first of 2 times they're gonna hang someone in this movie. But, Little John tells old PJ, you let him go, he's got a blade. But the sheriff figures it out, and they end up in a scuffle, and then he's like, kill him, and he saves Maid Marian, and there's a fight. During this fight, which he and Maid Marian are talking, and he's like, we're going to get married, we're going to have children, we're going to have 5 children. 5? How about a dozen? And I'm like, how are you going to give birth? And then I realized they're foxes, so they'll probably have litters. 12 children is probably 2 litters. Could be, depending on how much is in a litter. You could have 4, 5 in a litter, maybe 6. Who knows? So yeah, then they go to Sherwood Forest. You get the lovey-dovey song, and then when they get behind the waterfall and the dance, and then it's the phony King of England song, which, like I said, reuses a lot of animation cells from the Jungle Book and other films, you know. And then the next morning, Prince John overhears Hiss and the Sheriff of Nottingham singing the phony King of England song and decides that he's going to double the taxes, triple the taxes for the people. And of course, that means they can't pay him, so they all get thrown into jail. As happens when you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. So they all go to jail. And you know what? I got to give it to Friar Tuck. He had enough. He had enough. Right? So he's in the church ringing the bell. No one's coming because they're all in jail. I mean, for that to sort of rhyme, but anyway. So the mouse lady gives Friar Tuck their last coin to put in the donation box. In comes the sheriff as if he could smell it. He could smell it. And takes it out of there. And Friar Tuck, he's had enough. And he's fighting him off. Sword and cane. And then apparently that means it's treason against the crown. And so he's put to jail too. And Prince John takes one more step and is going to hang Friar Tuck, which is another, way to get Robin Hood to come to the castle. And Prince John is an idiot. He sets up for this whole thing where he's going to have Robin Hood come to the castle to try to save Friar Tuck. What does he do? He goes to sleep. He's got a whole bunch of guards outside, right? Which easily sneaks by. But then he's sleeping. He is the laziest freaking king I have ever seen. And that's not to say, royalty is lazy. I've seen royalty people in movies be more involved in the plot, but he just lays there and lets everyone else do it. If Prince John had actually lifted a fucking paw to do something, he probably would have got what he wanted. Robin Hood hung up for everyone to see, but no, because he depends on his idiot people who he keeps leaving in charge. Like, how many times does the sheriff have to mess up? That's 3 times so far in this movie. The sheriff wasn't able to stop them from being robbed at the beginning. Hell, that's even 4, because at the beginning that they're shooting at them, they get away. But so then in that beginning, and then unable to stop them at the archery contest, and then here, and the whole castle goes on fire. Oh, and I do gotta spotlight the running joke with him where he's Mummy. Oh, there is a animation problem. Because after the whole thing where he falls out of his coach into the mud, he sucks his thumb and goes, Mummy, I have a dirty thumb. But the thumb had no mud on it when he put it in his mouth. So he must have had mud in his mouth. I don't know, it's very weird. The thumb had no mud on it when he put it in his mouth. But then when he put it out, there was mud on it. It would look the other way, I think. But she'd been like, I have a dirty thumb. Whatever. But, yeah, that's a running joke. Mummy. The whole thing. And it also comes into play when they're role-playing, where Skippy is pretending to be Robin Hood, and then Lady Cluck is Prince John, and Mummy. That's Prince John, all right. But, yeah, and so Robin Hood is able to get all the gold that was taken, and they show Prince John, he's sitting there waiting for him, I guess, but then he goes to sleep, so I don't know. Maybe he got bored, I don't know. But, yeah, the whole place is on fire. There's a showdown between Robin Hood and the sheriff, and the others get away. There is a scene in which he's about to get everyone out, and then there's the little undistinguished rabbit that I didn't know was a girl or boy, and the rabbit mom just says, my baby. So I'm never really sure if it's a girl or boy, is left behind. And so Robin Hood grabs it, but they drop the gate. And so Robin Hood decides to save the little rabbit first and put them through, and then, yeah, he gets to fight off the sheriff. But yes, and they make it seem like Robin Hood dies for like the third time in the movie. Second or third time in the movie. And he's not. And then they laugh, "For the King of England, oodalali, oodalali." And so King Richard comes back and pardons Robin Hood, which doesn't make sense with the line later where King Richard says, "I am an outlaw for an in-law," which was a joke made earlier. If you may marry and get married, you'll have an outlaw for an in-law. So they repeat it here, but you just pardon him. You just pardon him, so he's no longer an outlaw. So, yeah, but it's still the joke, and yeah, it's a good movie. I'm sending it to the moon. I enjoyed this. There's nothing really that I didn't like. Even the lovey-dovey thing. It's whatever, but it's still a good movie. It goes to the moon for me. So, that makes a 12 down. And up next, we go on an adventure with Tim Allen. That's all I'll say. Till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.